Welcome to the Agents of Innovation podcast, where we feature conversations with entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and artists.
Okay, well, the Agents of Innovation podcast is not only in Guatemala City today. We are at Piedras Surf Shop with my friend Pierre. Pierre, thanks for welcoming you to the surf shop.
Well, first of all, thank you for this interview. It means a lot. Welcome. This is it. This is making it happen and the start of what will be, hopefully the rest of my life.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, so we're going to get into all of that. As we get started, I want everybody to know that this is the Surf Art Mag. Is this a magazine here in Guatemala?
Yes, it's actually the producer of the magazine is a lady called Luz Castillo Zarco, and she has been having this magazine. Actually, she founded it 10 years ago.
Where 10-year anniversary.
Exactly.
And the reason I have it is because you are featured in it.
Yeah.
And so is your Surf Repair Shop here in Guatemala City. But you know what, Pierre, before we get moving here, I think it's time to crack open some beers. And so we have here, what do we have here? The Antigua Cerveza.
Cheers.
Cheers. Salud. Sin Novia. This is an IPA. I love Antigua Cerveza. What's funny is I also had a conversation for the Agents of Innovation podcast with Alex Buitron at Caranto Cigar Company or Cigar Club, and he also served me some Antigua Cerveza. So either people know what I like, or people around here know what to drink. That's important.
Course, man.
Yeah. So Pierre, hold on. Let me take a sip. After talking so much about drinking it, so you were recently in Surf Art Mag's 10-year anniversary issue, and again, this is a magazine that's really focused on the evolution of surfing here in Guatemala.
Exactly.
But you're not originally from Guatemala, kind of close in some ways, but you were born in France. And my understanding is that your dad is French. I've met your parents, by the way.
Exactly.
Your dad is French, your mom is from El Salvador, and he was doing some diplomatic work there, and they met?
Exactly. Yeah, he was doing some diplomatic work with the education program, foreign education department, and also he was working along Médicos del Mundo, which is basically, how to translate it, worldwide medics.
Yeah.
Eventually he met my mother. Actually, she went to France, and they corresponded with letters because she went to study to France. She didn't speak French. She studied at the German school, so that's how they
so did they actually meet in France or in El Salvador?
They met in El Salvador, but they got to know each other by letters when she was in France and he was in El Salvador.
In the days before email. Or smartphones or text messages or Instagram posts or whatever else. Okay, and also, how many siblings do you have?
I have 3 siblings, 1 sister, and 2 brothers. I'm the youngest one.
You're the youngest. And
Exactly.
I met briefly for about 5 minutes. I met your older brother, Paul, right? Mm-hmm. And he is a graduate of the school I teach at, Universidad Francisco Marroquín, but he studied medicine, which I know nothing about. And I was actually told, I randomly met somebody, and I told them about your family, and they said, oh, Paul is like the greatest student I ever had.
Yeah, he scored the highest the highest grade of all of his career in all of the university's history. He is a genius.
So, Pierre, you were born in France, but I know that you have lived in a few different places before you made it to Guatemala. Tell me where you went from France and at what ages.
Okay, so I was born in France. I lived my early childhood there.
And are you fluent in French?
Absolutely,
Wow.
Yes. I think more often in French. I only read in French, or I'd rather only read in French than in any other language. And I speak to my family in French. Obviously, I don't have the perfect French accent, so when I'm there, they tell me, wait, your French is excellent, but you're not French. When I'm here, they tell me, hey, your Spanish is excellent, but you're not from here. So, yeah.
Hard to fit in when you're a man of the
in.
world.
Yeah.
Well, where did you go from France and at what age?
Okay, so I left France. I must have been like 5. Then we came here to Guatemala directly. We were supposed to go back to Uruguay. That's where my fathers were based before leaving to France. But my father had 2 options or 2 missions. It was either Guatemala or it was either somewhere in Ukraine, I think. So, as a good Salvadorian, my mother does not like cold. So yeah, she chose Guatemala, and they came here. I did my studies in Guatemala. I finished high school, and then I went to Honduras to study agriculture engineering in Zamorano, Escuela Agrícola Panamericana El Zamorano. So I spent 4 years in Honduras. I got to know the country very well, and apart from knowing the country, I got to know Paraguayans, Bolivians, Colombians, people from Panama, Honduras, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, because it's a Pan-American university. It's actually, the best agricultural university in Latin America because most of the teaching is practice. So you work half of the day, you apply what you learned in class during the other half of the day.
Yeah, that's, I think, how education should be.
Yeah.
Now, I learned a little bit about this school talking to you before. Was this school founded or in some way connected with Wilson Popenoe?
Exactly. So actually, the founder was Samuel Zemery. It's the man who bought the United Fruit Company and dismantled it. And in ways to pay back for all of the damages that the company did to Latin Americans, he, along with Cornell University and the help of his very good friend Wilson Popenoe, which was an eminence in the subjects of avocado and mango, along other agricultural themes, he opened this free university where each student had to have an interview with him. And if he accepted
with Wilson Popenoe?
With Wilson
Wow.
Popenoe, if he accepted them, they would study there for free.
Wow.
And the career lasted 3 years.
Do you know about what decades this was?
Yes. The university was founded in 1945. And I remember that Wilson Popenoe worked until the late 70s or 60s.
And he was involved from that very beginning?
Yes, he was the director, and he got very famous here in Guatemala as well. He's buried in Antigua, and it's thanks to him that Antigua kept its colonial look. Because there are other places in Guatemala that looked like Antigua, but then came industrialization and modernization.
Yeah.
So they destroyed everything colonial and started building with bricks, and it's not too pretty, So the thing is that thanks to him, it was mandatory to respect the colonial architecture in Antigua and keep the set-on of the place.
Yeah, well, I've been to Casa Popenoe, and actually it's now owned by Universidad Francisco Marroquín because the family donated it to them, I think, about 15 years ago. But for those people who aren't familiar with Guatemala, Antigua, first of all, the name Antigua means like ancient or old anyway.
Exactly.
And so this was the kind of the original colonial capital for the Spanish in Guatemala.
Yes.
That goes back to the 1500s. And there's a huge, huge volcano literally right there on the doorstep of Antigua called Agua.
Yeah.
And my understanding is there were several times during the Spanish occupation that Agua decided to erupt, and there were earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, floods. They actually had it Antigua, the original old city, right? It was actually closer to the volcano. Then they moved it to where it is today. Then I think after like 2 eruptions, which the final one was in 1773, the Spanish just said, that's it. We're moving further. And they moved like 50 miles away to where Guatemala City is today.
Exactly.
But they not only moved, they literally made everybody move. It was a forced evacuation. And so therefore all these, there's so many churches, like cathedrals, like just in ruins still to this day. Some have been restored, but a lot are just in ruins. A lot of homes, private homes, all sorts of things. And but that's kind of what makes it the charm of Antigua today. But my understanding, again, just kind of learning a little bit about Antigua, kind of what you just said, there were people that came, some Americans like Wilson Popono, some from other places, that came and started restoring homes kind of in the early 1900s.
Exactly.
And that's when people kind of started returning to Antigua. And Antigua has such a mixed culture today of people from all sorts of places, including a lot of the locals that returned there. People from Mayan ethnicity to people from the United States and France and Belgium and the list goes on. I've met so many international people, Canadians, that live there and work there and actually have opened businesses there. But Wilson Popono restored this home, which today is noted as Casa Popono. And he was also a big agricultural guy from California. And again, my understanding, without knowing all the history, is that he was on the search for like the best avocados, right?
Exactly.
And he found them in Guatemala.
Exactly. This is the place where he developed the best avocado strains that are now being exported all around the world.
Yeah, and so what's interesting is then you were telling me about the university you went to. Tell me the name of it again.
Escuela Agrícola Panamericana El Zamorano.
Okay, I'm going to spell that out somewhere in the show notes because that was a long.
Yeah,
I got
it's a long
Escuela
name.
and then I got lost. But anyway, but it's a school focused on agriculture.
Exactly.
And so you went to school for agriculture.
Yeah.
And you maybe you're doing the agriculture of the seas. But right now you're not doing agriculture other than these surfboards, I think. But tell me a little bit from your path from college. What did you do next?
Okay, so I graduated from college and, obviously I visited my family. I hadn't seen them in 4 years because the university, being an internship, it's not internship, but it's a boarding school.
Oh, wow.
I had very little to no vacations at all. Because it's a very strict school where if you haven't met, it happened once with my thesis. I got kind of late and I lost all of my vacations. So I had basically no time to leave. And I did that. I visited my family in Europe, in North America, and then came back. And as I came back, I started looking for jobs. The first job that I took is with my father in his school. And I worked as an administrator of all of the logistics in the school, like buying materials, organizing the cleaning staff, organizing anything that needs to be fixed, changed. So I started with that. And obviously, I moved out of my parents' house because I remember very clearly my professor, there was this great professor that told us, if you graduate from school and you go back to the same place you were before coming to school, you're doing something wrong. And that resounded on my head. And, I moved out. And
it's funny. One thing I have found... I think that's definitely a very prevalent idea in the United States, and I think people kind of, I don't know, maybe look down. I don't know if that's the right way to say, look down on people that go back and live with their parents after college. And yet, I feel like in the Latin culture, that's actually not that uncommon, right? A lot of times, multiple generations are living together, especially until you're married.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So it's very common here. I actually don't judge anyone. Because everyone has their own timeline, everyone is on their own track, and everyone is on their own time. So you cannot judge anyone for their different opportunities or their different ways of seeing life. I mean, everything is based on respect. Everything chooses whatever they want to choose, but I find it important, at least in my case, I speak for myself, leaving my house and traveling and putting myself out of that comfort zone made me grow as a human being and made me more aware of what everything is worth. For example, we had no hot water in the university. It was only cold showers. And man, I can tell you, just the hot showers were like, we had these tiny bunk beds. So everything, when I graduated, I was very appreciative of everything I had. I was very aware of what I had, of what I have, and I was thankful. So that's a very important part. Yet I spent 6 months here in Guatemala helping my father because, well, obviously he has helped me all along my life and has given me support and still does. And well, you know, I started applying for internships and got an internship in Martinelli Winery and vineyards in California. So more specifically in Sonoma County. So I moved out in June. I've got a family that lives in San Francisco, and I spent a couple of months with them before starting the job. I started my internship, and it was a great experience. I learned a lot from the vines. I was a vineyard sampler, and also I was a cellar hand. So I looked over all of the process from growing the vines to harvesting the grapes, making the analysis on the grapes, sugar levels, acidity levels, flavors, soil testing, all of that. And I also saw all of the processing part. And something very important for me, because I'm a doer. You know, there's people that learn better, I don't know, reading or I have to do things with my hands in order to feel accomplishment and in order to really learn. Whatever you do with your hands, you never forget it.
Yeah, that's good to know. So what happened? So you're in California. You're working on the vineyard. Where'd you go from there?
So when I finished my internship, I was offered other internships, but well, I had to come back because it was my brother's wedding, my bigger brother's wedding. And well, I thought, okay, I can buy a plane ticket and go back, boring, or I can buy a car and drive all the way from San Francisco to Guatemala, and that's what I did. So I studied the route and got to visit the Sequoia Park, Yosemite. I got to visit tons of places. I got to visit LA. I got to visit San Clemente. And when I got down through Baja, because it was right on the time where all of the migrants from Honduras, Panama, El Salvador, all of these places were in the border of Tijuana.
Yeah. So
the thing is that I couldn't cross over there. So I went to Tecate, and I did this road trip with my cousin and a friend that I made in the winery. And we went down all the way through Baja, and it was an amazing experience. I really was amazed by the scenery, the desert. It's breathtaking. And little did I know, I tried surfing. And yeah, little did I know that it was going to be one of the most fundamental pillars in my life. Well, I've never actually lived in El Salvador, but since we moved to Guatemala, and my mother is Salvadorian, we always went to the beach. And I can say that since I'm a kid, I love the ocean. I feel comfortable, free. I feel in peace. The ocean for me is a place with a lot of energy. That it's just like us. Sometimes it's calm. Sometimes it's very angry, or there's a lot of energy going on. And you know, it's a place to be alone, but connected with nature. And it's a very healing experience. And I've always had this need for the ocean. And after going through Baja, little did I know that surfing was going to be one of my...
So was this the first time you experimented with surfing?
Actually, I had experimented before with body surfing and using boogie boards. I tried surfing. Well, actually...
So are you saying there's hope for me? Because that's all I've tried to do.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, surf is...
I'm from Florida, and we don't have the greatest waves. That's more California and other places. But there are pockets where we have waves. Only an hour from where I have currently lived in Orlando, is Cocoa Beach, which has some of the best surfers in the world come out of there because they have just the right types of waves that people really can train on very, very nicely. And you really have to fight for them, I think. But like Kelly Slater, like is from Cocoa Beach. But anyway, but man, I'll tell you what. I just as a little aside, 3 or 4 years ago, my friend Adam Gillette, I'm going to give him a little shout out. I was visiting him and his wife in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, which is near Jacksonville. It's like Jacksonville Beach area.
Yeah.
And we just went up to this little beach club that he's like a member of, and we went up there for breakfast or something. And then the plan was to just go hang out at the beach later in the day. And we're sitting there, and Adam, his eyes just light up. See, he surfs, and he goes, "Oh, Francisco, this is I didn't know there were going to be waves today. These are like the perfect kind of waves to learn surfing on." I don't know if he was pulling my chain, but I think he was telling the truth. He goes, "I'm going to go back to the house and get a surfboard, and we could rent one for you if you want to try." I said, "Sure, let's do it, man. I'm here. Let's go. I've always wanted to learn how to surf." And it's funny, the year before, believe it or not, I was in – actually, so this is only like 3 years ago. The year before, I was in Israel. And me and my friend Kyle, who ironically is the one who came here to Guatemala 6-7 months later and who I visited here, we were walking down the beach and we see like actually they're doing surf lessons in Israel, like right off of the beach in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, there are waves in Israel.
And it was like I was watching this and there was like you could go up and just like pay these surf I don't know, teachers, I don't know what you call them. Instructors, yeah. And I said to Kyle, I said, "Now I'm from Florida and I've never surfed in my life, but wouldn't it be cool to learn surfing in Israel?" And we actually thought it was a great idea. He's from Colorado, the mountains. He doesn't know anything about the oceans, but we said, "Yeah, let's try that tomorrow." I think it was like tomorrow we were going to do it, but we went out on the group trip we were on. They took us on a boat ride in the morning, and Kyle and like one or two other people got seasick on the boat, so he's like, "I don't think I'm gonna be doing any surfing." So I didn't want to go out there on my own and try this. So I was like, okay, I'll just hang out.
Much breakfast,
but anyway, like I don't know. The next year, I was with my friend Adam in Florida, and we're out there. And let me tell you, I must have been out there with him for like 3 hours. I never like stood up on the surfboard. I just never got to that point. But he kind of taught me baby steps of how to use it as a boogie board, how to try to get up on it, all these things. And I'll tell you what, the thing that I really appreciated after that was how much hard work it was to surf. How you swim all the way out there, which by the way is a workout in and of itself, with your board, which is big. Like you see these things, they're not easy when you're like trying to go over waves that are constantly like that, right?
When you're starting with, especially if you start with a big board, it's
and so it was, and he gave me like a smaller version, whatever the easier version was. I don't know, maybe it was bigger or smaller. I don't remember what it was, but anyway. But I was exhausted by the end of the day. In fact, about 2 hours in, I went to the beach and I just said, I need a break. And I just sat there for 30 minutes and whatever, had some water, and then went back out there for another hour. And I was like, I don't know how people do this. They call this fun, but anyway, it's a workout. I mean, it's a serious workout.
You fight for hours for seconds of glory.
Yeah, that's
what it is.
That's what they say, right? Well, so you really started learning to surf in Baja, which is Mexico, like
exactly.
It's called Baja, California, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But it's like that peninsula off of Mexico on the Pacific coast.
Amazing place. It's basically a huge desert. There's no one there. To cross it, we did around 10 days, and I was driving 6 to 8 hours per day. So it was a long trip, and you know what? It happened that as I was driving 5 hours, while I was driving 5 hours passed, and there was no one. No one. It's amazing. I mean, you're all alone. It's deserted.
Wow.
It's uncharted territory. And they say that some of the best waves of the world are over there. And, I've been to El Salvador multiple times to the beach, but this beach where we went to, it's an early beach break, just like in Guatemala. But they say if you can surf a beach break, you can surf anything in the world, and that's true. So the thing is that, I didn't have the board. I didn't know anyone who surfed apart from an uncle, and the culture wasn't so developed in that beach. So when I got to Baja, saw a lot of surfboards, and I told myself, like, this is a nice wave. It was a small, cool wave, perfect to learn. And I started, and I got it really fast. And it's like I just discovered.
How long ago was this?
This was in the end of 2018, and since, well, I bought my first board. I started surfing here in Guatemala, broke my board, and eventually I learned to fix my own surfboards, and well, that's what I've been doing here.
Yeah. So okay. So you learned to surf. Let's pause right there. How you on that road trip back.
Yeah.
You went ahead and settled back here in Guatemala. You didn't go back to California.
Yeah. So the thing is that I had this opportunity for another internship, but I also got a job opportunity here in Guatemala with a very big building company. I don't know if that's how you call it, but
Like a construction company.
exactly, construction company. It was a firm of architects, and I got this job that was basically to plant trees. Well, grow plants and trees in order to do the landscaping for this huge project that they're doing here in Guatemala. It's called Michatoya Pacifico. It's basically an industrial park. It's a territory where it's kind of government backed, because it's an area where you pay no taxes. And there's a lot of industry, like mostly there's textile industry. Dollar City is there, for example, as well.
Where in Guatemala is this?
So they already have one industrial park in Palín, Escuintla, and they're building the other one near the road to the port, Puerto Quetzal. And
to the port in the Gulf of Mexico?
No, to the port.
Pacific?
Yeah, in the Pacific,
Okay.
exactly. So the thing is that they want to develop that area. They are reinstating all of the train lines. They want to reconnect Mexico to their park by train, and in a couple of years they will have to rebuild the airport there. So it's this huge strategy from this group of architects that really thought it through, and it's the investments of their lives. I mean,
So
they're pulling it off. And my part in this was the landscaping. So I managed to grow 330,000 trees. And
You yourself?
No, with my team. Yeah, I worked with a team of 26 employees in 2 locations. And I was basically growing like local trees, species from the country and from the area that are well adapted to the climates, and it was perfect. The trees grew very fast, and I managed to grow 330,000 trees.
330,000 trees.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trees.
And plants in total, I amounted up to almost 1 million plants.
Wow.
So yeah, little plants, but mostly it was trees. So the thing is that I really love that, because I mean, how can you say no to reforestation, man? I mean,
Right.
it's the thing to do. So either I was going to do another internship of the same in California, or I was going to reforest and do something good for the planet.
Yeah.
And I worked there for a year and 4 months until COVID came in, and well,
This
everyone.
is a theme in like every interview now. Until COVID.
Yeah. So, but I mean, in Spanish there's a saying: "No hay mal que por bien no venga." If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be
true.
doing what I'm doing. If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have learned things about myself, things about the world.
Hey,
things
the
about
same thing for me. If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have been coming to Guatemala. I wouldn't have even had the idea to come to Guatemala. I wouldn't have had a moment to think about coming to Guatemala.
Yeah. So I always see the glass half full and
Yeah.
not half empty. And I always focus on the good things, and whatever good, the bad things come with. And that's one of the things
So-
that COVID.
Yeah, so
brought
COVID
to me.
happens. So I guess, does this mean that the job you were doing kind of went away?
Well, yes and no. I actually got suspended for a couple of months. Then they got permissions
Wait,
to
hold on.
continue.
Suspended, that sounds negative. Do you mean like you were like furloughed is what we would call in the United States because of COVID?
Yes,
Yeah.
probably. I mean, I was sent home, and basically nobody could move until new notice because the country was closed, and there was curfew, and there is this, and there was that, and you could not leave the department. So they quickly got all of the necessary permits, but I got a different offer from my boss, and I had to decline. So the thing is, I basically finished doing what I had to do. I set up a very well-structured production line. All of the employees knew what they had to do, how to do it. Everything was well documented. I basically left a guide or guideline to grow trees and plants the right way. And the thing is, I was already looking something else to do because I told myself, well, this already is a machine that's working, and of course it needs some input in the part of leadership, like taking the project on. But basically, the project baselines were already met and done. So I had to say no.
So was this now? Are you now into? Is this 2020?
That was in 2020 exactly.
Yeah. So COVID happens, and then at what point do you get the idea to start a surfboard repair shop? Something I never even knew existed until I met you.
Okay. So the thing is. I started surfing, and it was everything went around surfing. I mean, it wasn't like partying anymore or whatever it was before. Everything had to do with surf. I am and I was really. I dove into the surf world, into the surf culture. Every weekend I went surfing. And the thing is, you break your boards. Boards are especially, second-hand ones, and especially cookie-cutter boards, like big brands of boards. They're excellent boards, of course, and they make a lot of boards, but they're not as tough as it would have to be, or as our friend Robert that we just met told us, things are not as good as they were before. And it's very sad. I mean, it's a part of capitalism that I really don't like. Everything is you can change.
Kinda
Everything
like
is
mass produced. Yeah.
Exactly. Everything is meant to be changed for the newer version. Patati patata. You see cars built in the 70s, they're still rolling, man. But you see cars built in the early 2000s, most of them don't work anymore. So there is this huge amount of garbage that accumulates, and there's this philosophy that a lot of people are picking that, oh, it's broken, no problem, I can just buy a new one. No, so I'm against that. And in a world like this, repairing is an act of a rebel.
You could almost rename this place the Sustainable Surf Shop or something, right?
Well, I wouldn't call it sustainable, actually, because I use a lot of toxic materials. But yeah, I mean, I repair. I give a second use. I repurpose, reuse materials. Recycle, upcycle, yeah. I mean, all of that by the repairs.
So did you start this in 2020?
Yes. So actually, I started around 1 year ago. I started fixing my own boards, and then my friends saw my work, and they told me, "Man, this is really nice. Fix mine, please." And then one guy tells to another, and the other to the other, and I started getting these phone calls of people that I never met before that told me like, "Hey, you fix surfboards, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Okay, please fix mine." So I said, "Well, yeah, why not? I'll open up a surf shop." And I started very small, with small clientele. Actually, my first official client is Luz Castillo. who I am very recognized to because well, she featured me in her magazine, you know, and she brought me boards. She talked to her friends.
Wait, was she the one that wrote that article?
I'm very thankful.
Oh.
Exactly, I'm very thankful
Nice.
with her and what she does to the surf culture in Guatemala. Shout out to her because I mean it's amazing what she does. And
So people outside Guatemala, they may not know the geography of Guatemala, but we're in Guatemala City, and Pierre, I don't see any beaches. How far away? Where are the beaches, and where are these surfers coming from with these surfboards?
So the beach is 2 hours away from here, and yeah, I mean
That's the beach in Guatemala.
Yeah,
And what beach is that? Parador?
So the most famous one is El Paredón. Then there's Iztapa, which has very because of construction they did to break the waves. It's a very cool spot as well. I don't know as many spots in Guatemala, but there must be definitely some awesome spots to surf. And the most popular one is El Paredón. All of them are around from 2 to 3 hours away.
So 2 to 3 hours, and yet people are dropping off their board. Who are the people dropping off their boards to you here in Zone 14? We're in Zone 14?
Zone 14, exactly.
In Guatemala City.
So mostly our clients that are regular surfers that, well, unfortunately break their boards. You know, that was my first hashtag, you know, shit happens. So the thing is, yeah, most of them live in the city and go surfing to El Paredón, Marina del Sur, Iztapa, whatever. So the thing is, a brand new surfboard costs from $650 to up to $1,350
Wow.
something like that. That's the price range.
So, you know, people that do serious bike riding, I mean, that's something similar, right? I
Yeah.
mean, some have even much more expensive bikes than that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But you know, I mean, I think I have a bicycle that's about 600. It was about $600. And so when that thing breaks down, yeah, I take it to like the bicycle shop, right? And
I mean, you're not
like-
just gonna toss it and
Right.
get a brand new one. I mean, even if you have the money, it must hurt a little bit,
Yeah,
you know, because
yeah.
and boards are beautiful. It's this tool that helps you glide on the surface of the water. I mean, you get. I'm not a very material person, but with boards, it's like you get this sentimental attachment.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so
it becomes part of you on the water.
exactly.
Plus, you've learned how to master. Maybe you've mastered, not me, but maybe you've mastered the art of surfing with that board. You know, I play tennis. It's like a tennis racket.
Yeah.
It fits well
exactly.
with your game, and maybe the boards are similar in some ways.
Exactly. So, man, I've tried tons of boards, and I can tell you that I haven't found the board that fits like a glove. And I've tried a couple of ones recently, like hand shapes, and it was amazing, the difference. These boards were so fun. They were so easy to use. Because the point of it all is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not have the objective of becoming a pro surfer and competing. My point is having fun
Yeah.
and sharing the fun and sharing the soak of surf.
So tell me, because I don't know, we got boards here. What kind of damages are done to boards that are able to be repaired, and maybe ones that aren't? But what
Yeah.
are the type of typical things you see that happens?
Okay, so the most common
And if
thing,
you could explain it to people like me who don't know.
yeah,
what the hell you're
the
talking
most
about.
common thing is well, you know, you're attached to the board with a leash. Basically, the leash is your lifeline to the board because the board floats, and when you're riding big waves or the ocean has a lot of energy, and you get hit by a wave, and then comes the other and the other, you go down, man. And as you go up, you can only take a quick breath before you go down again. So the most common repair that I have done is that the leash is attached to the leash plug that's on the bottom of the board. And the thing is that when the leash connection is too long, the leash damages the board, the tail of the board. So that's the
okay.
most common. Then I've repaired a lot of, the boards have fins. You can see one here.
Yes.
So the fins are what allows you to get direction in the water, right? It's kind of like in a sailboat. They have these this thing in the middle, so it's basically the same.
Like a rudder or something?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So the thing is that, if you hit a rock with a fin, it will go up, and you have to replace all of the fin box. And that's another very common issue that I get. Then surfboards don't like the sun. Because I mean it's epoxy or it's basically resin, and resin when it heats up to the molecular level, it expands, it unattaches, so you get these bubbles, and also there's the pressure dings. Well, you go very fast on the water, so if there's a branch or anything that's on the surface of the water and the surfboard hits it, then it's gonna get a pressure ding. Or if you hit it with your head or with your elbow or with your knee, it gets pressure dings. Then a lot of dings when you manage the board, you handle it, you put it on cement, or there's people who take care of their boards like babies, and there's people who just don't give they don't care a lot about the board. So then you get dings, dents that are these little cracks and holes. So basically a board is made of foam. It has a base of foam. It's covered in layers of fiberglass cloth, and then it has layers of epoxy or polyester resin on top, so it's sealed. It's basically how they build boats before, or they still build traditional boats here with resin and fiberglass. So the thing is that if the board has a hole, water starts coming into it because of pressure, and if a board gets water, it starts getting all a board must be rigid, it must be very strong, it starts getting all like mushy, and it breaks way faster. And then the absolute worst that can happen to your board is snap it. I don't know, a 4 feet wave may not be that tall, but there's a lot of water in there. There is a lot of water in 1 cubic meter of water is equal to 1,000 kilograms. So imagine having 1,000 kilograms smash something, like immediately, it snaps.
Yeah.
Imagine you're riding 8 to 9 feet waves. Those are huge waves. So boards tend to break. Some break more easily than others. And that's basically
So the typical person, I know you talked about a lot of different kinds of common things you see. When somebody brings their surfboard in here for some of those things, what's the kind of turnaround time you typically have for each kind of client?
Okay, so I usually, I don't do this full time, as I'm going on a course in the university. I'm helping here and there, doing this and that. I usually do a repair in a week. I try to do it within a week. That's my goal. Sometimes I rush it more. Sometimes I just don't have enough time, and the longest one I've had was like a month and a half, maybe 2 months, and I basically told the guy, look man, just give me 100 quetzales, and because that's one of the main reasons I started fixing the boards, because you can fix your boards, you can get your boards fixed in El Paredón. But the thing is that the people that fix boards there, they are very good. They are very good people. But the thing is that, there's women, there's party, there's the waves, so they don't have a lot of commitment. And once I left the board for 3 months, it didn't get repaired.
3 months.
Yeah, and it choked up sun all day. Yeah, so the thing is, it was not the best experience. And I told myself, well, how hard can this be? And it's pretty hard. But I started getting the tips, And
So speaking of that, so I got a couple last questions.
Yeah.
So now that you've done this entrepreneurial business, what kind of advice, what things have you learned as an entrepreneur to start your own business, and continue operating it? What things have you learned? And then maybe what advice that you might pass on to other entrepreneurs, especially in Guatemala?
Okay, so what advice would I tell to entrepreneurs? First of all, is you have to start small, because what starts big becomes a monster and then dies. What starts small grows bigger and stronger, and you have to start small, man. I mean, most of the biggest companies out there started small. Look at Amazon, for example, Apple. So the thing is, you have to start small. You have to focus on the little things. You have to focus on detail. You have to be very precise. And of course, there's passion. If there's not passion in there, it's not gonna happen, man. And what other advice? Definitely, I remember this very well. A friend of mine told me once that if you work for money, it's going to be very hard. But if you work to do your job right, money is going to come to you. So I started doing very meticulous jobs and still do it, and that's my goal. Like putting every bit of passion I have into every work I do, even if it's the smallest or the biggest work, because in the end, that work is it's the testimony of your effort. It's the testimony of your talent.
Yeah.
And everyone will see it. That's your signature. So if you do it well, and that's what happened to me. I started doing things well, and I got better and better and better, and people saw it. I didn't have to make any publicity, you know.
The publicity came to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the thing is, if you do things well, people notice it and they come to you because
I had a student who's not one of my students, but a student that I've gotten to know at UFM, who actually just this week said to me, the kind of job he's doing now that he hopes to continue and expand upon it when he's done graduating, and he said, how do I? You know, I'm really struggling with how do I publicize what I do. And I said, you know what? Actually, we talked in the hall this week, and I said, you know what? I think your work will speak for itself. And as a young person, I don't think you should be totally. I mean, it's a struggle because you want to get the word out that you're doing this work and you need some business, and and you're trying to make a buck, and you're trying to get some new clients.
Yeah.
But also, I said, it sounds like you have some good clients already. If you're doing that work well, my guess is that they will spread the word of mouth to other potential clients.
Exactly, man. Word of mouth. That's the best way to do it. And then another advice is that the client is always right. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to deal with people in general. I mean, we are all complicated and very meticulous and very exigentes. I don't know how to.
We all have our little things that we care about and meticulous.
And I mean, we're meticulous, but especially if you pay for something, you want it to be done well.
Right.
You know, I mean, we all are demanding on what we give and what we receive. So the thing is that I have had a couple of clients, and I thank them, that have given me critics, like constructive critics. I take them as that, and I'm very grateful to them because I'm no expert. Every day I'm learning, and I will learn until the day I die. I'll never stop learning.
Right.
I will never know everything. Never. So that's you have to be humble in the ways of, yes, you have a talent, yes, you're good doing something, but you're not perfect, and you will never be. You will always learn something. And some people require more patience than others. And the thing is, all of these critics have made me become better and better and better, and have made me improve myself and push that barrier of what I think is a good job higher and higher and higher. So I look at my first repair and I'm like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I look at my last repair, for example, this, and you can't even notice it.
Yeah.
No, and it's very rigid, it's solid, and every day that passes by, I'm getting better and better and better.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and I'm sure the current clients see it, that the future clients see it. You had somebody that right before our interview here
Yeah.
walked in here, and he then started mentioning that he had heard about you from other people, and so that's why he was here. But you're right here in Zone 14 in Guatemala City. So how do people find you?
So my first post was in Facebook in a closed group of entrepreneurs, and I posted my business, and it all started like that. I posted my number.
So if someone's listening right now and they're a surfer, they're coming to Guatemala, or they're already in Guatemala, and they're like, "Dang, I need my surfboard repaired."
Yeah.
How do they? You got Instagram?
I've got Instagram. I'm on Google as well. I've got the address of the shop. My
Piedras
numbers.
Surf Shop.
Piedras Surf Repair.
Yeah, Piedras Surf
It's not
Repair.
a shop. It's not
Sorry.
a shop yet. Yeah, I
Piedras
call
Surf
it shop
Repair.
because in French, shop is atelier.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually workshop. Yeah.
Yeah. So also, I overheard you say today that in addition to, you've just been focused on repairing boards.
Exactly.
Are you going to be building boards next?
That's my objective, and this is another recommendation for entrepreneurs: is always have different objectives. I mean, complete one and don't stay there. Put yourself more objectives. Do new things. Think outside the box. I was thinking on doing balance boards as well. That has something to do with surf, but I mean, it's working wood, for example.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with fiberglass, but it has to do with geometry, architecture, everything. So the thing is, my main objective is to build boards and build the best boards that the world has seen.
All right. Well, Pierre, can you pronounce your last name for me?
Ouddane.
Pierre Ouddane. Pierre Ouddane. That's O-U-D.
D-A-N-E.
Is it two D's?
Two D's, yeah.
Yeah, O-U-D-D-A-N-E, Pierre Ouddane. Going to be building the best surfboards the world has ever seen. We heard it here first on the Agents of Innovation podcast in
buddy.
Guatemala City. And
That's
Pierre,
right.
the other thing I want to let everybody know here, the way I got to know you was I'm actually renting a room in your house.
Yeah.
Which is right down the street from UFM, which has been great. It's been great getting to know you and hanging out with you and learning
You
and
too,
seeing
man.
the surfboards there sometimes and like scratching my head and wondering what's going on because there's no water.
We gotta hit the waves sometime. Man.
Well,
We
yeah,
gotta see the
I
water.
still need to go down as of this interview. So maybe by the time people watch it or listen to it, maybe I'll have made my way to El Salvador.
Yeah.
But tell us, you told me that El Salvador has like the best waves in Central America. I don't know what you said, but tell me what you think about El Salvador.
El Salvador has excellent right-hand waves.
Is that for people that are right hand?
No. So either you're a regular and you have your left foot in front and your right foot in the back of the board, or either you're a goofy. I'm a goofy. It's the opposite. So when you surf, it's easier or it's a better experience if you're seeing the wave. So for a goofy, for example, a right wave, you have the wave on your back.
Okay.
So it's not as it's different, you know. It's like two sides of the coin, and the most of the people are regulars. You know, I mean, it all depends on what's your strong foot. I mean, stand up. We'll see what's yours.
Let's see here.
Okay, so if I push you, your strong foot is the right one, as me.
okay.
Yeah. So that's an easy way to tell, but actually, well, as in surfing and skating, oh, be careful.
Yeah, my water over here.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, whatever makes you feel comfortable, man. So the thing is that El Salvador has these.
So I would be with you said if my right foot is the strong foot, right?
You'd be a
El
goofy.
Salvador is the place for me.
No.
No, it's not. It's the
No,
opposite.
no. Well, it's the place for you if you want to surf because excellent waves are excellent waves.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
even if you're a goofy or regular, you have rights or lefts.
But it's the
Those-
best for the ones that are the opposite of me.
Yeah, exactly. A regular.
Okay.
So maybe you're a regular, man.
Yeah, we don't know.
It doesn't mean even if your right foot is stronger, you can get yourself used to putting your left foot. It's all about practice.
Yeah.
And El Salvador has these points because there is this rock formation near the ocean, near the littoral. So the thing is, these rocks make the waves go faster and form more regularly. So you call that a point break. And the point breaks are excellent in El Salvador. It's some of the best waves in the world. Actually, El Salvador just hosted an international surf event for the Olympics.
Wow.
Yeah, so they did the qualifications for the Olympics, and it was a huge thing. El Salvador got to know its waves more. I've had a lot of people compare them to Bali, which is one of the best places in the world to surf as well.
For those listening,
but it's
especially
too crowded.
Especially Bali's too crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for those who are listening, especially in the United States, especially in Florida, where lots more of my audience of listeners are, I'll tell you what, Central America is not too far. It's not too expensive. It's very quick to get down here, and it's not as populated as Bali. Come on down and do some surfing.
No, forget about Bali, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Halfway around the world.
I'd love to go to Hawaii. I mean, that's where it all started.
Have you been there?
No, I've never been to Hawaii.
Well, neither have I. I've been to 47 states in the U.S., and that is
Best
one of the
waves in
3
the
that
world.
I've never been to. So, but we'll have to practice on the little dinky waves in Florida and then get to El Salvador and then go to Hawaii. But anyway, Pierre, this has been really great. I think I was going to ask you a lot of questions, but you actually answered a lot of questions, and maybe I have asked you a lot of questions. But anyway, any last words of wisdom for the Agents of Innovation audience?
Well, yeah, never stop believing in yourself, know your worth, and always see the good things and see the bad things in yourself as something to improve, as something to change, because change isn't always bad. Change can be very good, and never surrender on your passion and on your dream, because one day you'll be old. And if that day when you're old and you have to carry out the sack of bones, you'd better be doing something that passionates you, because that's what life is about, passion.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much for being a great housemate here in Guatemala, but also for welcoming me to Piedras Surf Repair.
You're welcome, man. Let's hit the waves, and thank you for the interview.
Sounds good. Thanks for being on the Agents of Innovation podcast.
Thank you, man.